Margaret Whitmore, 65 years old. Margaret is an elderly woman who lives alone in an old Victorian house at the edge of a small town. With her silver hair cascading in soft waves and sharp green eyes, she possesses an aura of wisdom that comes from a life lived with depth and experience. Margaret was once a celebrated botanist and author, known for her books on herbal medicine. Though she has lost her husband to illness and her children have settled in distant cities, she finds solace in her garden, filled with curious plants and flowers. Although she appears frail, her spirit is indomitable, and she carries the weight of secrets from her past that she is reluctant to share. Ethan Carter, 20 years old. Ethan is a vibrant young man with tousled dark hair and bright blue eyes that reflect an ever-curious nature. During his college summers, he returns to his hometown to help his grandmother. He dreams of becoming a writer and is fascinated by the stories and folklore of the region. Always eager to explore, he has an insatiable thirst for knowledge and adventure, often leading him into the unknown. He has formed a strong bond with Margaret, seeing her not just as an older neighbor, but as a mentor and friend. It was a cloudy afternoon. The sky was painted in shades of gray, and an eerie mist rolled in from the nearby woods, enveloping the town in a shroud of mystery. The atmosphere was thick with the scent of damp earth, creating a sense of foreboding. Margaret Whitmore sat on her creaky wooden porch, cradling a steaming cup of chamomile tea. She often found solace in her routines, but today felt different. Ethan arrived, his footsteps crunching on the gravel as he approached. He was excited, his boyish enthusiasm unfazed by the ominous weather. "Hey, Margaret, have you ever heard of the old Crowley estate? They say it's haunted," he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Margaret raised an eyebrow, recalling the tales she had heard as a child. The Crowley estate, abandoned for decades, was rumored to be a place of sorrow and shadows. "There's a reason people stay away from that house, Ethan," she warned, her voice low. But Ethan was already captivated by the story. Margaret hesitated, sensing a warning in the depths of her intuition. Yet, the spark of excitement in Ethan's eyes nudged her. After all, she had spent her life unraveling the mysteries of nature, and perhaps it was time to face one of her own. They set off towards the Crowley estate, navigating through the twisting paths of overgrown grass and tangled vines that guarded the dilapidated house. As they approached, the air grew colder, and an unsettling silence wrapped around them. The once grand structure loomed ahead, its windows shattered and the door hanging ajar. Ethan pushed it open, and the creaking sound echoed through the empty halls. Inside, dust motes danced in the faint light filtering through broken windows. The walls whispered secrets of the past, each room a snapshot frozen in time. Ethan found an old diary on a table, its pages brittle, filled with the scrawled thoughts of Amelia Crowley, the last resident. "This is incredible," he exclaimed, flipping through the pages. Margaret felt a chill run down her spine as she read the words. They spoke of despair, loss, and a longing for something that had been lost. "This house has a dark history, Ethan. We should be careful," she cautioned, her voice trembling slightly. As they delved deeper into the estate, they stumbled upon a hidden door behind a decaying bookshelf. It creaked open to reveal a narrow staircase leading down to a dimly lit cellar. As they descended, the air thickened, and an inexplicable feeling of dread enveloped them. In the cellar, they discovered old furniture covered with coarse sheets, but it was a large, cracked mirror that caught their attention. Its surface shimmered, reflecting flickers of light as if it held a life of its own. Margaret approached cautiously, drawn to it. Suddenly, the air turned icy, and a reflection appeared in the mirror, not of Ethan or herself, but of a woman in old-fashioned clothing, her face twisted in sorrow. Margaret gasped, stumbling back. "Ethan, we need to leave, now!" But Ethan remained mesmerized, moving closer to the mirror. "What if she's trying to tell us something?" he whispered. Against her instincts, Margaret stepped forward, feeling a connection she couldn't explain. "Amelia, is that you?" she said softly, her heart racing. The woman in the mirror nodded, tears trailing down her cheeks. In an instant, the world shifted around them and images flooded the cellar. They witnessed flashes of Amelia's life, the love she had lost, the grief that consumed her, and the isolation of the estate. It was a tale of heartache. Margaret clutched Ethan's arm, both horrified and entranced by the vision unfolding before them. She's trapped here, Ethan. We have to help her find peace, she urged, her voice a fervent whisper. Determined to assist the spirit, they spent the next few hours researching Amelia's story through the diary. They learned that she had lost her fiancé to war, and in her sorrow, she had sealed herself in the house, never to escape the shadows of her grief. We need to honor her memory, Margaret decided. They gathered flowers from Margaret's garden, the same ones she had cultivated for decades, known for their healing properties. Together, they returned to the cellar, laying the flowers at the base of the mirror. Amelia, we remember you, Margaret said, her voice steady. Your love deserves to be honored. You are not alone. Suddenly, shadowy figures began to appear around them. Ethan, startled at first, soon realized that they were images of people connected to this story, familiar faces that looked at Margaret with kindness and sadness, as if they had come to visit her, to remind her of the love and loss that remained in her heart. Please don't forget us, one of the figures said softly, and Margaret, looking at it, felt a deep connection that softened her grief. She took a step forward, and at that moment, the air around them filled with gentle sounds, as if a music box had once again played its melody, touching the soul strings of everyone in the room. Ethan took a few pictures, but soon realized that this moment was more than just a documentary. He felt that they were witnessing something new. This is not just a legend, he said quietly. This is your story. Margaret felt relieved after leaving the Crowley estate. She was able to share her part of the story, and Ethan created something more than just material for his project. They remained behind their ancient walls, but their spark remained in their hearts in music that echoed across the tides of time. As they walked side by side back to Margaret's house, the world felt changed, filled with hope and new beginnings. For both of them, this was not just an adventure but a turning point that reminded them of the power of stories, love, and the healing they offer even across time and space. The whispering shadows of the past gave way to light, and in that moment, they both realized that every ending can lead to a beautiful new chapter. The end. This mystical story captures the essence of discovery, the power of human connection, and the importance of confronting the shadows of the past to find peace in the present.